In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today we have an opportunity to speak with Michael Vandi, who's going to talk to us about loan origination AI and also about how he's marketing his new tool. And Michael's got a illustrious background working with big companies like Amazon, as well as doing some work on some NASA projects. So I'm really excited to invite Michael to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, happy to be here.
Well, it's a interesting couple of projects that you have in your background, and I'm sure you got to work with a bunch of other smart people like yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, how did you come up with this idea for the current project that you're working on around loan origination?
Yeah, so I stumbled upon the idea because we started off as an email assistant, and then we started serving banks and loan officers, and guess what? They write a bunch of emails. So when we decided to specialize, we did hundreds of interviews with our current customers. And then one of the industries that stood out to us was loan origination and banking. So we did pilot programs for these customers, and then we built a solution for them that no one else in the industry had, and something that we think would scale really well. So we, focused on it.
Well, it's interesting. And then talk a little bit about what the AI engine is in your platform.
What?
The AI engine. How are you leveraging the AI? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what we do is we help banks close loans faster. So right now it takes anywhere from 60 to 120 days, depending on the process to close a mortgage loan, maybe 45 days on the low end. Sometimes we've seen 3 weeks, but it's still a painful experience for the borrower. And sometimes an even more arduous experience for the loan officer, because they have to do a bunch of document review, managing client follow-ups, doing due diligence on borrowers. So what we do is we give them these AI models, custom trained, to help them automatically review documents. So think of like W-2s and bank statements. So when you upload like a W-2, it reviews all the financial information, looks for discrepancies and things like that, doing background research on borrowers, research that would take like weeks to do. We find information instantly, and then we present that to the loan officer. And all of that speeds up the process from weeks to only a couple of days.
Well, that is a nice way to leverage AI and speed it up on both sides of the transaction, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, your company is about 18 months old? Is that accurate?
Yes, just about. Yes.
Okay, cool. And so, what are some of the broad tactics that you've used for your own marketing, and then what are the specific things that you've seen some success with?
Yeah, so when we started thick in the midst of AI, like in the thick of AI. So we had to change like traditional marketing to fit, AI marketing. And one of the things that that we're trying to do is ranking not only on the first page when you do like a search engine results page, but ranking in the AI box. I was watching my partner use Google yesterday, and she made a Google search. And the first thing she clicked on was the AI overview. And then she didn't scroll down. She clicked see more on the AI overview. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to get on the AI overview.
So yeah, all right. We're calling that now, I think, generative engine optimization.
Yeah. Gen engine up to GEO. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, GEO. Yeah, exactly.
So, traditional content that you put is search engine optimized. So you have to convert the input that you actually give to Google. So that's like generative engine optimized. And how you do that is by mostly making statements, like authoritative statements. Typically, when you're writing like a blog post, you want to write like so much information, and then you have the user has to decide like top 10 best AI tools, right? And then you write it all down. Now, when you're optimizing for a generative AI engine, people just search what's the best AI tool, and then that's the information that you have to give them. So if you make a blog post about what's the best AI tool and just write exclusively about one tool, the AI would love that. It's like more information for it, right? So it's one of the things we're doing. We're doing a whole bunch of things that I'm happy to talk about over time.
Yeah, that's cool. So I love that you're that you're using that the search term, right? And then the other thing that I've experienced and heard talk about is that then you also want to build some lists and some of those other things that the generative LLPs like, and then also to do some linking to other authoritative articles, hopefully that you've written, and so, but other authoritative articles, so that there's some interlinking that's happening as well.
Right. Actually, one of the things that we did is we routed all of our domains to like one parent domain. We did like a 301 redirect just to have a higher domain authority.
Yeah.
And we did that last week, and one of our pages is actually ranking on the first page right now. I think like it's the third or fifth result, and we do think we can get it to number one in the next like couple of days. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. So then is the SEO and GEO, is that like one of your primary lead generation tactics?
Yes, that's one of our primary, and our secondary ones are podcasts. So we're actually coming up with a podcast of our own internally where we interview loan officers. I'm happy to talk about some of that and some of the interesting strategies we're doing there. And then we also do highlight team members, like highlighting members in the team, what we're working on when we make updates. We have each team member work on a particular product update, and then we attribute that to them. So when you get to use the product, you get to feel that, hey, John built this. And
Right.
the company at AI built it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then I like that when you're focusing on team members, and I think it has a nice, rich psychological effect too, where you start to feel like the humans that are behind the company, and especially when it's still a relatively small group, you feel like you have some input on the prod development as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Well, yeah, let's talk about your podcast and about what your content calendar is like for your podcast. Yeah.
Right. So the podcast idea came about when I've been doing quite a bit of these podcasts, and every time I talk about the product, I find that it's I get better pitching the product. I'm like, I want to do more of these podcasts, right? And I'm like, well, if I want to do more of these podcasts, shouldn't I do it with more people in the industry? So I started looking at podcasts in the industry, looked at a couple of them, and I was like, I could really scale volume if I invite people to my podcast. So like I do go on podcasts, I like it, but it takes like a couple of weeks for it to get published. And then we have to like cross attribute posts and things like that. So we thought very deeply about this, and we were like, well, how can we make it so that, when a company launches a podcast, it's not too salesy. You don't like all talk about your product all the time.
Yeah.
We're like, we could just talk about the customer. We could just talk about the loan officer, the people actually using the product. So we're calling it the Loan Officer Playbook, where loan officers come on. We never talk about our product. We just talk about Playbook for loan officers. And then the best marketing is the marketing that people don't even know they're being marketed to.
For sure.
So we don't even tell them about our product. And then, we publish their product. We publish a podcast, and then they get to share it with their network. And then we build a community around that. And eventually we will be known for the community of loan officers. And that's essentially what we're trying to build. And that would maybe funnel back into the product, but we're not really sure about that yet. But we're really focused just like highlighting the customer.
All right. Well, I like it. And you have a lot of really straightforward content around the economy and the way interest rates move, and then all the marketing tactics that loan officers would need in order to attract people, and then all the customer experience right? The human intelligence part of that as well.
Yes, 100%.
Well, yeah, and then what I love most about podcasts is that from the content marketing perspective, you have really unlimited, unlimited amount of content you can develop from each episode, and
Right.
so um, as long as you can get past 10 and build good workflows, 10 episodes, then you kind of get in the groove.
Yes.
But there's a little bit of work in the beginning to get it going, but I think you guys are smart to integrate that into your marketing, and it has so many great benefits in terms of, like you're saying, explaining your product and your expertise, but then also all the interlinking that happens, and then you're talking to your actual prospects as well, right? Prospecting by interview, which is
Interview them, yeah.
yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
Well, now since you started out as an email platform, you must have a pretty good idea of email strategies right now too. What are you seeing on the email side of things for marketing?
Oh, email is dead. Email is dead. It's gone. It's never coming back. You know, it's one of the worst marketing, I would say, strategies in the age of AI. I think a year or two ago was maybe one of the best times to get into email, because you could generate all the emails, you could scale it up, you could really personalize the email for the person and then send it out. But Emmanuel, whenever you read like an AI text or human generated text, I get like 20 to 30 of these a day.
Yep.
And I know this is written by AI, and it just like puts me off, you know. But 2 years ago, I hadn't trained that muscle. So I'd get these ones. I'm like, hey, this
Yeah.
is really personalized. They know me, they know my company, they know where I
Right.
work. Like I'm
Yep.
gonna click on the product that they're selling. But now when I get these, I just like unsubscribe. And
Uh-huh.
if you look at the funnel of the email marketing, you have to send like thousands of emails a day. Some bounce back, you don't get delivered, some get delivered, but like don't get opened. Someone opens it a week later when it's no longer, in season, and then you're lucky if you get like 10% open rate. Then you're lucky if you get like 2% click-through rate. You're
Yep.
lucky if you get like 1% conversion rate. And then those conversions would churn. So email just has like terrible metrics. I don't think email is ever coming back, honestly.
Now, do you think that is well, why do you think that is? Let's just dig into that. Why do you
Yeah.
think email's dead?
So I think it has to be like your targeting, and prospecting has to be hyper personalized and hyper targeted for it to ever work. It's like casting a wide net and just like hoping something catches on,
Yeah.
right? And because it's like so top of the funnel, it's really hard to scale that up if you're looking for people who are like wanting to buy right now with a purchase intent, as
Yeah.
opposed to search engine marketing. If I search for like the best AI tool, and then your tool comes up first. Like I am looking for the best AI tool now, right now. So that's one of the reasons why I think email doesn't work well. So it's just top of the funnel.
Yeah, and I wonder. I think we're experiencing a little bit of a demographic shift too, right? And that millennials and the Zs are not so committed to email like the people, those of us who are a little more experienced in the workforce. I think that adds to it. And then, like you're saying, the avalanche of emails that we've seen in the last 18 months from all these engines that just plug in a chat or something, and then just blasting the spray and pray, right?
Sending a bunch of emails. What you mentioned, the Gen Z thing, that's actually quite real. You know, um, there's this episode of Bill Gates and Phoebe Gates on Netflix, and Phoebe was talking about how he doesn't like, she doesn't like when her dad sends her a text message and then says, "Oh, I'm sending you a text message. I'm sending you an email, but I sent her a text message that, hey, go read the email that I just sent you." Right?
Right.
It's like, just text me or do something like that. I think one of the things that could come back, like, phone calls. They're getting these hyper realistic voice agents now that can call you up and talk to you. So maybe we'll see that coming back. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think the phone's kind of been burned out in a lot of ways too, right? Just by the mass amounts of spam calls.
Yeah.
And I mean, I are literally, when I started my career, I would answer my phone, in the 90s. In the interim time, unless I know the name or I'm waiting for a call from that area code, there's no way that I'm going to answer the phone. I might listen to the voicemail if they're, if they something's piqued my interest about it, but you just, you get 35 calls a day of, whatever, all the things, and it ends up being such a time suck. So.
Yeah. Oh, how would you deal with it? Like back in the day when there was no caller ID, and then you just have to pick up the phone and hope for the best.
It's true. You'd pick up the phone, and then you would fend off the guy trying to get you to change long distance companies, for instance. That was where the money was in long distance calling. So I remember one time I got like a check from AT&T for $500 for changing my home phone number long distance calling, because that was the lifetime value of that customer was big enough they could front load it with that.
Right.
So, but yeah, so occasionally you would hit the jackpot, but most of the time it was just spam calls. And it was usually during dinner time. Because you're going to answer your home phone, right? It's a long time ago. Now we all have computers in our pockets. Okay, cool. So then you have, obviously, if you're going to be ranking top for GEO or SEO, that's it's kind of rarefied air for most small businesses. So you've got to have some secondary and tertiary processes. Are you using any kind of social pay-per-click, or what else are you doing in order to get top of the funnel lead gen?
Yeah. So we're doing social ads. One of the things that I would love to talk about was, social media has worked well for us in terms of like going viral on Twitter. Actually, one of our first tweets as a company got retweeted by Elon Musk, and that's why we're even a company right now.
Wow, that's a pretty nice activity from Elon, huh?
Yeah, I was in school. I was just building this tool on the internet, live streaming on YouTube. Actually, I was building the AI email assistant on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where I do coding videos. So I was building it for myself. Didn't really think anyone would care about it. Posted it on Twitter. Posted like a short 30-second demo. Elon saw it and then retweeted it, and then 13 million people saw it.
Wow.
And we got thousands and thousands of signups. I think like 10,000 in the first week. Problem with that was we couldn't replicate it. Anyway, it was so hard to replicate after.
That sets some unreal expectations at that point.
Yeah. Couldn't replicate it on Twitter. Couldn't replicate it on Instagram. Hired a social media creator to create videos every day. Just hoping that one of them would go viral. And then, you hire someone, you pay them like, a couple thousand a month. And then for like 6 months, just hoping for that one or two video that would go viral. It's just not certain. I like to, I think like with marketers, now that I'm traditionally an engineer and I like logic, I like certainty. I like that I can reason around things and just see the options available to me.
Of course, yeah.
And then those options have not just been able to do that for me. So I like the ones that I can optimize.
So so the pay-per-click inside social platforms, that's where you're finding some success. Yeah. And then what does that funnel look like? Are they going into white papers? Are they getting a free month of trial, or what are you doing in order to help the self-education that's necessary in modern marketing?
Right. So typically what we do is we direct them to some blog posts that we write.
Yeah.
So if we write a blog post about, should you hire a loan officer assistant as a loan officer, very heavily targeted to someone who just got into the industry, overwhelmed, wants to hire an LOA or like a small mortgage shop, a small independent mortgage bank, having like 2 loan officers and then super overwhelmed. Interest rates are coming down now, so we're seeing like a huge refi boom.
Yeah.
And with that, everyone's thinking, well, should I hire a processor? What should I do? So we make these highly targeted blog posts, and then we share the links to social and do like social pay-per-click. And then people come in from that, and then some of them eventually learn about us. We put like a 2-line at the end of every blog post about us, so they know who we are.
Yeah.
And so we've actually had some leads come from that, so that's good.
All right, I like that. So let's see. It's interesting. If you're not emailing because you don't like that, then what else are you doing to fill the top of the funnel?
I don't think we're doing much of that anymore. Our industry is just so very specific because there are only 3,800 independent mortgage banks. And I was making this joke with one of our investors, actually. I was like, if I knock on the doors of all of them, I could actually do it. Like I could market physically.
Yeah, right. That'd probably be about a 12-month process, right?
Yeah.
Be in the car driving around. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I could do it. And then he was like, yeah, I kind of like that idea. You obviously exhaust the market, and then we want to do, once we scale up higher as a small business, like we want to make sure that our small, we want to find like a repeatable and scalable business model with just a small target market that we can like experiment with first. And then once we've exhausted that, then we're ready to like scale to higher things. But one of the things like I think that gets slept on a whole lot, it's just like going in person and then knocking on the doors of someone and say, hey, I'm building, we've actually had like some customers come from that. I'm building this tool, would love to set it up for you. What do you think? And people are much nicer in person. Like, you call them on the phone, they can be rude to you. It's the wrong time. You email them, they can be rude. But when they see you in person, like most people are not rude in person. So they can tell you to wait and then they come back. And we've got a lot of success.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, especially in the post-COVID time, right? Is that I think we're a little bit more hungry for personal interaction than we were before all the lockdowns and all those things. That's interesting. Yeah. Let's see. So your tool, is it working for it's for residential, and is it also is it on doing things for commercial real estate as well?
Real estate. Yeah, we're doing things for commercial real estate and residential because we sit in the back end. There's a lot of overlap with residential and commercial.
Yeah.
One of the overlaps would be every lender would want to have a pipeline that they would update. Yep. And then that pipeline is typically on, Salesforce or HubSpot. And then they all have like a point of sale. They all have a loan origination system, all those overlaps. We try to plug into all of that and make sure that the process is streamlined throughout. Wow,
that's a smart tool. Well, that's what we'd expect from you. Well, I really appreciate your time and this morning. And I'm wondering how people get in touch with you if they want to have a conversation about coding and logic or about lending in real estate.
Yeah. So if you want to get information about coding, if you go to my LinkedIn, it's Michael Vandi. I'm the first link. I'm super active on LinkedIn. And if they want to learn about loan origination in real estate, if you Google Addy AI or go to addy.so, our link is the first link. And then you book a demo, I will be the person in the demo. So that's 100% certainty you'll talk to me.
Okay, it's not your avatar, is it, Michael?
No, I won't be.
All right. Well, thanks again so much. Hang out in the green room, and I'll be right there in a second.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Okay, cheers. Well, it's good. A good time this morning talking about how to leverage your content, your blog posts, and sending ads from social into your blog posts, and maybe reallocating some of your email marketing budget into your ads. Thanks for joining me on Marketing in the Age of AI, and look forward to the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.